Right.
Oh, I'm just trying to get it live. Oh.
It's perfect.
That's better. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
You ever go home after the meeting and watch yourselves?
No.
I did once,
It's probably a good idea to do it once.
yeah.
It's pretty cool. It picks up everything.
I have not done it.
Do you remember?
You're okay.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Thanks.
Do you remember,
No more eye rolls.
but do you remember
All right, I'd like to call this committee meeting to order. 1:30. We have additions to the agenda. Sorry, Richard.
Nope,
Mark?
I've got a couple of small items, but quarries and pits, and I also want to talk a bit about the septic tank inspections.
So we'll go 6 and 7, I guess, septic.
Nothing for me, Jack.
And I'd just like to talk about service certificates to be given out at the Christmas party.
And I'd like to add one closed meeting for personnel. Okay, can I have a motion to accept the, Brett, thank you. Any pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Approval of the minutes from committee meeting. I have a comment on that. I think we have to include where it says I talked about the phosphorus levels to Lake Clear Property Associations. The information wasn't given to them, it was actually given to Victor Castro.
Okay.
So that should be amended and changed because he's gonna come back with a phosphate chart with that information. The way it reads is just I give the information to Lake Clear Property Associations. Okay, if you could.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, I do have a pecuniary interest.
Okay.
There was a check to Murphy's Auto.
Okay.
Sorry, it was a while ago, I forgot.
All right. Any other additions to the, or changes to the minutes? Can I get an approval for the minutes?
Sure.
Jennifer? Okay, let's start with, then on with our delegations. Guess it's Chris and Bob.
Ish is making another presentation, so I'm kind of standing in for Ish.
Okay.
Dividing and conquering, I like it.
You get to sit up there.
You get to come up here, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
And we get to throw daggers.
We have to throw daggers at you guys.
And they mean it, they both cycled here today.
From the top of the hill down.
I was a little further than that.
How are you enjoying
Thanks,
fourth
Tom.
shoot though?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So folks, thanks for having us here today. My partner here, Bob Pelzer, myself, Chris Insker, we're no strangers to the community or the people around the table or in the room. And again, thanks for having us. We're here to talk about something that's dear to all of us, and that is good physical and mental health. And that comes often through active transportation. We are going to have some asks. What we're not here today to do is ask for money. I say.
Free ride today. folks.
Yeah.
You're welcome anytime.
Yeah.
We're welcome to money anytime.
Welcome for the free app.
Okay, thank you.
We actually might be able to help you get some.
So Bonnechere Valley and Eganville in particular are well positioned to become favored retirement destinations. Discussion with Bob this morning, 3 people who've camped over the years at his campground are now living in Eganville. And I see that happening all the time.
They chose to retire here.
Chose to retire.
It's amazing.
In fact, Eganville's already progressing very nicely. We have Fairfields. We have a very active seniors organization. We have close, easily accessible services, pharmacies. We have Fresh Mart, restaurants, 2 coffee shops. We have fast food outlets. We have a clothing bank. We have good financial institutions, accounting and tax services, food delivery, recreational activities and facilities, great facilities in our town, good medical service and ambulance service. Living in Eganville or Bonnechere Valley is more affordable than Ottawa, Renfrew, or Pembroke. And a lot of people are choosing to live here because of that. And of course, other things. We need one more thing to put us at the forefront of the wave of active seniors looking to retire here, and that is easy and safe active transportation corridors. Yes, Bob and I cycled here today. A lot of people think active transportation is cycling. It is not. It's all those other things. It's pushing baby carriages, it's walking, it's, cycling is just a part of it.
And those things that make it good for people that are basically walking and cycling also make it good for people that have disabilities, people that are in motorized scooters and things of that nature. So the kind of things that make it a good active transportation community also, almost by accident, make it a handicap accessible community.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It's been proven that children do better in school and stay more fit when active transportation is part of their daily lifestyle. A recent study by the US Department of Health noted that safe corridors and things such as paved shoulders and sign routes give parents more confidence that their children will be safe as they walk or bike to school, skating, the splash pad, library, and other places in our community. Bonnechere Valley already is an attractive location for active events such as the Tour de Bonnechere bicycle race and ride, and next year will be the 10th anniversary of that event. We have a Wednesday evening bicycle group. We have Heartwise walking programs. We've got the Foymount Hill Challenge. We've got the fossil hunting and walks on our Geoheritage Trail, and we also do the Terry Fox Run every fall.
And that's the other thing, that people are already choosing to come to Bonnechere Valley because we are a nice destination. Everybody has beautiful scenery, but we've got that nice mix of beautiful scenery, a rural environment, as well as community services. There are groups that come down from Deep River regularly to ride in our area. Last year, we had a group from Kingston that camped at Legion Field overnight as part of a bicycle route. These things are becoming more and more popular. The biggest thing is that we still have some things that hold people back. One of the things that seems to come up frequently in surveys, not just in our community, but all around, is that people need to feel that they're in a safe environment to do this. There are places in other countries where kids go on their bicycles to school year round, where their bill for bus transportation is infinitesimally small, which means that money is available to go either back into the taxpayer's pocket or into the education system. And the main thing is they have routes and ways for kids to get there. I didn't bring pictures because I didn't want to take up all your day, but I can show you pictures of schoolyards literally full of bicycles in places like Sweden, which have very similar climates to ours, where kids bike to school year round. It would make a big difference for us. Right now, there's only a handful of kids that walk to school. We could expand that area and possibly drop that 2 bike routes if we just had a little bit more safe transportation corridors. For example, right now, believe it or not, we have a assigned bike route in Bonnechere Valley. It's probably the shortest one in Renfrew County. It might be the shortest one in all of Canada. It's that little stretch that we've signed right up by Eganville District Public School, when it runs from the school just out to Highway 60. It's what, maybe about 500 meters long?
Yeah.
Made me wonder why it's a signed route, but anyway, there's lots of things that we can do. And what we're here to do today is we're here to ask you to do something. We're asking you to do nothing more than to create an ad hoc committee. And because Bonnechere Valley is going to be active, it's going to be growing, it's already in the process of experiencing this. We don't want money, but we can help you get money in the future if you want to make a commitment to form an ad hoc committee of council, which is going to plan how to best achieve the goal and to help guide a healthy, prosperous, and active future. So if you look at the sheet that I gave you, what would such a committee do? Well, first of all, they would create an inventory of what existing resources we have. They'd examine the strengths and weaknesses that we already have. They'd take a look at safety concerns and opportunities. And they would just start to map, either physically or online, where our trails and roadways are, what routes are people using, which ones would we expect them to use. They would basically outline opportunities for improvement and create an active transportation plan. This last one's very important, to guide future decision-making by council. And it's this last one, when it comes together, is the tool in your toolbox that you use to put you at the front of the list when the province announces money. I commend the council on what they recently did with Horseshoe Road, but as you know, Mayor Murphy, the one thing that made that happen is that we had a plan and we had justification and support for it when the money became available.
You're absolutely right.
If we didn't have that,
We have to be shovel ready for every grant opportunity. And I commend Dana for, making sure that these grant opportunities don't get missed, but having that plan on a shelf. So the province says, we've got infrastructure money, and you say, here it is. And I will tell you that one of the reasons we got that money was that we were putting in active transportation lanes. So for council, I attended the Alcata AGM with Bob and spoke on behalf of the County of Renfrew about the Algonquin Trail and about our plan that when we do a road, if it's physically possible, and we talked about 515, that it wasn't possible. If it's possible, we extend that road just as we did here in Bonnechere Valley with Horseshoe. So that's our commitment from the county. And I think that this is a very simple ask. And it does put us at the top of the list for those grant monies. This is what the province wants to see. They want to see partnerships and they want to see active transportation, safe active transportation.
And this is kind of why OB-CATA is suggesting that you create this ad hoc committee. Because what they will do is do the groundwork basically for you and with you. That we will help create a plan that when it comes time to ask for money, you say, hey, here's our plan. This is what we need. Here's a justification for it. And here is the reason why you should put us at the front of the list. And as you said, that's what gets you to the front of the list
Oh, yeah.
most of the time.
So I think though, working with our asset management plan, that project could be quite, not simple, but quite achievable. In that we already know what roads we're going to be doing in the future. And so what does the extra cost look like?
And it's not just roads. There's a few other things involved with it as well. But what I'm looking at is we take a look, I have a suggestion of who would be represented. Well, I think you got to have a representative of council. A committee does not work well when it operates blind and then rolls into council with council out without council having been aware of what's going on and providing some practical sense and guidance to a committee. It should involve somebody from the senior community. It should involve somebody from the school community. And I was thinking of parents, but perhaps a student too. Why aren't you riding your bike to school? What keeps you from doing it? That might not be a bad question to ask. Or what other things keep you from being more active in the community, on your bicycle, on foot, or whatever else you're doing? The active public, and representatives for that could easily be somebody from our organization. I'm certain we would have somebody who would be willing to sit with the committee. The business community, because there are business advantages to be taken with any active transportation plan. You're already benefiting from some of the events that are going on in your community. There might be other ways to tie in as well. The Public Works Department, if not as a regular attendee, maybe occasionally, because again, they need to be the reality check as to what we can do. And others, well, that's up to you guys. But that's what we're proposing. And as I said, we're not looking for a financial commitment. This committee need not cost you anything. Just basically a bit of time from a member of council and some time from some members of the public. I also don't see this committee as being a permanent thing. They would have a job to do. And when that job is done, they step down. And then maybe you can reassemble it from time to time if the need arises. But this need not be a ongoing forever thing. Anyway, that's where we are today. I think that if you have any questions as to what active transportation does look like in your community or what it could look like in the future, fire away. Chris and I will be here to answer.
Not just today, but if something comes up, feel free to pick up the phone and give us a call.
Well, this is great. I'm fully behind this idea. Absolutely fully behind it. It is what the province is looking for, and we know that it's going to make a healthier community for all of us. So I commend you guys on your volunteer efforts in this.
Do you guys, just out of curiosity, you guys have like a 3 projects in mind that you guys can like for your organization, like when you're looking at the Township Bonnechere Valley, because we do have a high demand and stuff, a seniors population, people coming here. From your organization's perspective, what do you think are the first 3 projects that you guys would recommend, or do you have that available right now?
I think identifying resources would be the first step.
Mm-hmm.
How do we enhance those resources? It could be signage or promotion.
If there was an ask for something immediately, one of the things that comes up time and time again is the importance of paved shoulders on roads and signage. You hear that time and time again. I'll give you a good idea. The Highway Traffic Act says that a bicycle is just like a car. It has access and the right to a full lane. Do bicyclists take the full lane? Most of us have better sense to do that because we know folks want to get by us. So we want to get over as far as we can. And a lot of folks say, well, why aren't they over on the shoulder? Well, if you've ever ridden a bike on the shoulder of the road, it's a good place to see Jesus because there's rocks and other things there. Occasionally it's been freshly graded and soft. And as soon as you pull over onto it, you're generally going to go over and that might tip you right back into the traffic you're trying to avoid. The other thing is roads that don't have any kind of paved shoulders in them, whatever, they just start deteriorating at the edges. So now the bicyclist is forced more and more into the more heavily traveled areas and actually almost into the center of the lane. If you look at, not your road, but County 512, as it goes past towards Rodden Creek, the cracks in the road extend this far out from the edge of the shoulder. And if you try to ride on that with most bicycles, you're having for a very bumpy, unstable, and perhaps unsafe ride. So bicyclists will ride over generally as far as we can, more or less out of self-preservation. So if you were asking what we would consider to be fairly important, paved shoulders and signage are very important. But again, the idea of us is not necessarily to be the expert, but to encourage you to form the ad hoc committee created from people within the community, which are going to tell you what this community wants and needs, and provide you a plan that helps you leverage some of those funds from the province of Ontario when they become available.
So I was just gonna give council, I can't find it now.
While you're looking, just to give you an idea as to, where the people that are going to be coming from that are part of this, when we start talking about your senior community, you look at a lot of folks that aren't out there. And why aren't they out there? Well, there's a lot of reasons why not. The number one reason is not feeling safe, but other reasons are they may not necessarily have the physical ability to be out there. There's something new on the scene that's changing that, at least as far as bicycling is concerned, and that's the e-bike or the electric assist bike. I told this story to Jen and some others about a week ago. I had a friend 2 years ago tried to bike on the Augsburg Road with our Wednesday night group. He only got about 3 kilometers in and he couldn't go any further. The hills were just killing him. He's got bad knees. He's a tall guy, and as he got older, his knees got weaker. Well, he always liked to bike. He would put on about 25 extra pounds, and he was getting worried about that. Next day, we went into Ottawa. He bought himself one of these electric assist bikes. The day after that, we went out and we rode from my house on Lake Clear up to Cormac. Felt pretty good. Went over to Rochefort Road. He felt pretty good. I said, well, then let's go over to Brudenell. Brudenell all the way to Foy Mountain and back. And the only thing he ever used the electric assist on were the hills. This guy was unable to ride 3 kilometers. He wound up doing a 34-kilometer trip 2 days later. Since then, he's now riding that bike 2 or 3 times a week. And in the last 2 years, he's dropped that 25 pounds. This is what the future looks like, folks. More and more people are going to be out there. All we need to do is take advantage of it.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, Bob, this, the thing that I would be looking for in this committee, when money becomes available, opportunities become available, we have the input, the intricate knowledge with Dana, whoever's writing the application, to know exactly what's required and
And again,
the buzzwords to use.
exactly.
So I was just gonna give some of the stats to council that I gave to Akata. So from a county perspective, in March 2014, we approved the active transportation policy that placed emphasis on hardened shoulders in road rehabilitations that we were taking on through grants and through the levy. So the first paved shoulders were County Roads 26 and 51 in 2003. At the end of 2017, we'd done approximately 180 kilometers of roadway. And by the end of 2019, we have now 220 kilometers of roads. And that's about a quarter of our county roadways. So I see this as something that definitely the local tiers should be taking on as a policy as well. So I'm glad that you guys came today to, open up our minds to the possibility of an ad hoc committee to do this.
This meets, in my mind, meets 2 needs. One is community development, enhancing our town or area so it's better for the residents. And then economic development by people coming here to take advantage of what we've put in place. And that gives some of us jobs and gives young people jobs.
Yeah, I can do a whole another presentation on what the economic benefits are. I know a few towns where they basically embrace this active transportation philosophy and literally develop the business model around it. Small towns, but the same population as the village of Eganville. So there are definitely pluses for all aspects of the community. And like I said, it is the wave of the future. Just need to catch it.
Yeah. Does anybody not want to do this? Discussion?
We're not asking for a decision today. Put it on your agenda, talk about it.
Yeah.
We will.
Give us a call. Like I said, we'll be more than willing to help, work with the committee. And like I said, I'm sure that if you want somebody that is from the active transportation community, either myself or someone else from the OB Cata group will be happy to be part of your ad hoc committee when you decide, or if you decide to choose to form one.
Well, I know on the private, like on the private end, like stuff like this is already kind of starting to take place anyways.
Mhm.
Like I know the senior center, for example, applied for a grant to connect to pretty much to a parking lot off of Wellington Street as well. So like stuff like this is getting, because you're looking at, it's like when you identify an asset, for example, so you have, say, Fairfields in the senior center, you attach it to a senior kind of community, same as you have a splash pad. How can we connect that to like a subdivision area? I think for an ad hoc committee, I would like to discuss it kind of at the next meeting, just so we can kind of look on that aspect more, because kind of how I look at it is like, is this something that should the township get involved in, or should it just be more a private community that brings the recommendations in kind of thing? Like, I have to look in the ad hoc committee, right? We're new council and everything, so.
My experience is that with committees, that if you want the committee to be effective from a municipal standpoint, have a member of council sit on it.
Mhm.
That's 20 some years of experience with councils and committees. I can recall some committees where it was just a committee with no connection to council, and they were way off in left field in terms of what was practical for municipality. So if you want to keep it reality based from what you guys can do within your budget, make sure somebody from council is there to make certain they come back to reality once in a while.
Yeah, I agree with that, Bob, because if not, like you say, you have a lot of volunteers working on something that when they bring it in, it's like, there's no way we can follow within our scope, right? So if you have somebody there, you can just sort of say, well, yeah, I agree, I don't agree, and keeps everybody in line.
The other thing is,
Saves a lot of wasted time.
the other thing is, nobody knows our asset management plan better than we do. And the challenge is as well, is that sometimes we have to veer from that plan and take, we chose to not do one road and do another road. So I think that's our role as well, is to break the hard news. Hey, guys, we're not doing such and such road, but we're doing this road. And, can we extend the head and shoulders there? So I think that's it.
Oh, and that's exactly what's going through my head. I'm looking at all of the roads that I've seen, and there's some beyond right now that we've got to get up to par and put all our resources in our roads resources that we have designated into some of those locations in the next couple of years. We're going to be losing them. So that's a big priority for the entire municipality, right? So, and we're going to be able to see a little bit more in budget time, but there again, it's whenever you hit the nail on the head, Bob, it's whenever we have leftover end of the budget to see what we can do to do that.
But that's, it's the economies of scale though. If you're doing a road, how much more?
And that's what I was just going to get to. It's when you're doing it, and I've always emphasized and stressed, we do it and do it right.
Mhm.
And if we're in the area of doing it at that time in certain areas, I believe that's the way to do it, but I also do know there's quite a few on the list where I don't really see, the extra lanes and stuff coming into play that just have to be brought up to regular standards. So.
Well, there's one thing to keep in mind when you're looking at that in the future is that, and you don't need to take my word for it, talk to your work sky or Good Roads or any of those associations. The paved shoulders extend the usable life of your
Yes, they
road.
do.
So while you might pave fewer kilometers, those kilometers last longer. And in the long range planning of things, it saves money over the long haul. If we'd started it 20 years ago, there are roads right now that you wouldn't be repaving.
Bob, there's nothing that I would love to see more in Bonnechere Valley than to have every one of our roads, at that 20 some meters with 6 inches of hot mix.
Mhm.
That would be super.
Especially in
That
your
would
line of work.
be wonderful. So believe me, I know, and I'm meeting bicycles all the time. You know what I do for a regular living.
Oh, yeah.
And on a lot of these narrow roads and stuff, I would really appreciate a bike lane because for me, just the sheer momentum to stop, to give the right of way to the bicycle, which I do, okay? And I will never put anybody in jeopardy, you know, I always make sure you stop and let the oncoming and do your thing. You know, I would, I really appreciate the fact of those lanes, but like I say, it's just one of those things where, kind of lost it there a little bit. Even the fuel and the stuff that I use, Bob, to get going again. So it takes me time too. So it does enhance our transportation if we do have the infrastructure to support it. That's where I was going with it.
Well,
So, you know,
when you drive 512, you've said to me, you slow down to like, what, 40 by my house?
Yeah.
And that's because forget about paved shoulders, there's no white line anymore.
No.
there's no
It's
shoulder
gone.
and the
It's gone.
slopes
Yeah.
are almost, you know, so it's dangerous, right?
So, but what you just said, you know, if we'd done this 20 years ago, 512 would still need rehab, but maybe we wouldn't be in such that road is so bloody narrow, especially when you need a logging truck or a transport truck.
Oh, yeah, well, sections of it you probably have gotten at least under 5 years out of anyway.
Yeah.
But I agree with you what you say about not just you, but all truckers in general, having in the last few years logged a few thousands of kilometers. I never have to worry about the trucks in my rearview mirror.
Yes.
Those guys are professionals and they always treat you with courtesy. It's that little black pickup truck you gotta watch.
That white van, the white van, you heard of the white van. It's, but no, like I say, I would love to see, you know, big wide roads right across our municipality on every road, but by all means, but it all is gonna be dictated by our budget in the future, right? So as long as everybody's on that same wavelength, that's,
Great presentation, guys.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for having us. We'll continue talking.
Yeah, so like I say, and if you need us, you know where to find us.
And I like the slide deck too, like the little cartoons.
Take care.
Thanks,
Bye,
guys.
guys. Safe ride home. I have to get me one of those e-bikes.
Bikes.
You're not getting an e-scooter?
That would be fun.
Who's up next? Darrell?
I don't know if he's hearing that.
I've seen them. Yeah.
You grab them there, do you see?
Take care, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
I see from this angle, it's very swimming.
Yeah.
That's important.
Very
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
Nice center seat.
Yeah,
Hi, Darrell.
there we go.
Hey, Darrell. So what's your take of our take of our?
Pretty fancy.
So I left a meeting, the boys stuck around and did this. So I came in, it was like a Christmas surprise coming into this today. I love it.
I'm having an easier time too with everybody. I don't know about you guys over there, but it seems to be.
I like that your backs aren't to me.
Yeah, it's just the face to face with the delegations as well. Like that was the hardest point before. You're trying to listen, you're sideways, right?
Yeah,
So
that's right.
just easier.
Your voice wouldn't, this way here, you're projecting your voice.
Mhm.
Easier for everybody.
And apparently it's slimming.
So, probably the.
So, things are going okay.
Going okay.
Going okay.
Okay,
And I'm working on the budget.
we heard.
Budget,
Sandra tells me I have to have it in a couple
Slim.
of weeks.
you have to have it
And
stand
slim,
down.
yeah. slim too.
So Daryl, what we were saying, like this year, obviously EGC is not able to give you
No.
anything, so I think we're gonna have to make some tough decisions.
Bring us the budget and then we'll see. right?
Yeah, that's where I was
Till we-
going.
Till we see it.
Well, hopefully I'll have something for you in 2 weeks and
Perfect.
you guys can mull it over and see what. Anybody got any questions or?
Is the building up yet in McCray Park?
No.
No.
Kevin said they're supposed to be coming tomorrow.
Okay. I saw the concrete. is-
Yeah, kind of, he's part of 2 weeks now, I guess.
It's all right, though. We just had to use the money by the end of the year. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And
So you
it's
got the
not,
water and sewer?
It's in the concrete.
Electrical's all ground in there, ready to go?
I believe so, yes.
can't believe your report was a page and a half.
I know. Right?
You were crazy this
You
time.
increased it. More space.
That's right, just bigger font.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Lines in between. So everything's all good then with Queen Street and everything, all that?
Yep.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's good. And, yeah, it's pretty decent.
Mhm.
I've changed the flow meters at the sewage plant because they were starting to give me trouble, and they were 1995s, as you see it put down there.
Mhm.
And I've purchased new ones for the water plant. They're not in yet, and I'll put them in next year. I actually don't even have them yet, but they should be here any day. I'm gonna put them in next year just because they're in the mid-90s also. And the problem I have, if one of those fails, if we wait until it fails, then I can't make water. So I have to have it put in ahead of time.
Mhm.
So that'll be one thing that I have going on.
Do you have any other major infrastructure projects next year?
Just in the plant stuff,
General?
Yeah.
Okay,
You got the issue with the water tower all straightened around? or-
no, we're working on that.
but that's their insurance, correct?
Well, we haven't got that far even yet.
Okay,
We'll see what happens.
keep us in the loop.
So, yep, okay.
All right.
Thanks, Gerald.
Thank you. Jason, probably not around
We're just coming along here.
yet. Jason's not around, we can do correspondence.
Fairly short.
We could do correspondence.
Yeah. We can. Dana, we can do correspondence. We'll do correspondence till Jason shows up. You want to comment on Michael's?
Yeah, okay, so I know that this wasn't part of the original package, but we did receive a letter from Michael Johnson and his neighbors with regards to the RV issue on Lake Clear. I think this letter is very important to be added to the file. It seems that they don't feel that everybody was appropriately spoken to about this issue. And, something that we definitely have to take into consideration when we're making some decisions. I know that we're waiting on a couple of things. We'll have to go into next year, but certainly something to keep, our eye on. I'm wondering if this will spark other people writing letters to say they too didn't feel that they were represented in the survey. And in fact, by the delegation, I think some people felt that perhaps that delegation should have been, not necessarily under the umbrella of the LCPOA. So just an important,
I've had feedback on that.
so,
But even last year, we had that feedback. So
yeah,
this is nothing really new. It's just the first time I was put in writing.
I actually, since their delegation, I've actually had far more feedback than I had before.
Yeah.
Far more. So, there are a few people that are quite angry that, they're a member of the LCPOA, And I know that, we've already heard that a few people have left the LCPOA because of this, but that they should have just come as individuals or land use committee or something not under that umbrella.
And like you touched on earlier, there's a few things we need feedback on before we can really. go forward on
Definitely.
this. Any other concerns on correspondence?
All right.
Hey, Jason.
All right.
I feel like you're getting off really easy this November, early December.
With the weather,
Yeah,
it's been good so far.
it has. Not like last year.
No, that's for sure. All right. Greenwood has finished the Queen Street construction. So everything's good. Hope everyone's happy.
I think it looks pretty good there. So it does.
It'll definitely make everything a lot easier for us for cleaning off the snow and maintaining it with, our products to keep it bare.
Well, with our second week in November where we were seeing that -18 and I got thinking
Oh, yeah.
about our asphalt and how it would be one big chunk by the time it got here and we got those few nice days.
Yeah, so we got very lucky.
We did, pulled a rabbit out of the hat on that.
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
hopefully nothing comes back to haunt us.
No, for sure.
A lot of compliments on social media about Fourth Shoot.
Yes.
A lot.
And also I want to compliment our guys on our roads too for looking after them when they have been. Because I'm in a lot of neighboring municipalities on these first icy freezing rain days. And
Yeah.
they are the best.
Agreed.
I really commend you guys on that because it's not too far of a drive to get into a very slippery road, just put it that way.
I had to complain to the warden of the county of Renfrew about 512.
So,
You're talking to yourself.
I was. So,
she
yes.
recognized the voice at least anyway. Debbie.
No, I agree with Tim, like, especially the first few bad weather days where people have to relearn how to drive.
Those are when we see the first snowflakes as a professional driver, you'd know it too, Jason. You almost feel like stopping that day because everybody is learning how to drive in the winter conditions again. And it's like, hey, everyone in the ditch.
Yeah.
And I seen those few days and I watched a lot of.
Yeah, no, we're gonna have to keep it a little bit more of an eye on that Queen Street Fort Shoot because of the fresh asphalt. It's gonna be a lot more slipperier than something that's a couple years old.
And
Never
in the
thought of that.
and one thing about that being asphalt hot mix, we're not worried about a little bit of salt on it either. So it's not going to hurt it.
No.
So that's good.
It's also going to be the Fourth Shoot Speedway.
Oh, yes.
It'll be no different than Let Cemetery.
Well, a delegation for speed bumps.
Exactly.
It'll help, Jason. Up until maybe a week and a half ago, I still seen butterflies and caterpillars around, and I'm saying we're going to turn for a late winter this year.
Yeah. That's a good.
They're still around.
Yes.
Well, we were certainly blessed to make sure that project got done.
Yeah, for sure.
I got a question for you, Jason. I've got a couple of people actually called me and were concerned about what happened to Risto Road. One of them was a bus driver, and one of them was an owner on there. At the first plow, there's consistent dips in the road. Is it, what happened there? Somebody fell asleep or?
Everyone was told to put their roller plows back and hang it up.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
it was just touching.
Did touch it?
And I guess the operator wasn't quite watching. And
Right.
There was not just one driver. There was a couple that there is soft spots.
Yeah.
And it's going to be hard to fix now.
Well, that's the thing. Well, how can you fix it now?
We could try put some gravel on, but
Yeah.
as soon as it gets mild, it's going to go mushy.
Yeah, it's gonna go mushy and you might have to sign it then, right?
Yeah.
Do something because it's,
There-
I actually drove it there this morning and it's, the driver was actually, bus driver was actually concerned about springs and stuff if they don't slow down a lot, you know what I mean? Because there's two considerably dips and, and you know where they are. It's in the swamp just before you come up there, right?
But
Farther up, there was more damage done, but there's only 1 or 2 people driving on it. If you go continue up.
Past,
Yeah.
past the stop sign up, but.
Yeah, pass further up, yeah. But it's the one where there's gonna be more traffic on.
Yeah, right.
yeah, you definitely want to sign that then.
Well, it's, where people are used to it because the road was in good shape and then all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah, they're driving quicker than what they should.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure. Concerning the parking lot and bridge and, so I have spoken to Adam Kasperzak.
Yeah.
There was a file started, I think about a year ago. That's as far as it went. They started the file, but there was no surveys done with that. Did everyone get the map that I sent you?
Yeah.
Okay, so that little section, if you're looking at the top view to the left towards the BMO,
Okay.
that section is municipal property. Property to the right, there's a little wedge in there, a little pie, that belongs to the retirement daughters' property. So Adam suggested that I go and talk to the owner. And I went and talked to the owner. Person was going to get a survey done, but he hasn't got back to me yet because he had to talk with his partner about that. And the only, even Adam says he's just going to be guessing if he does do a survey to check where the pins are. Because of, he explained it to me, because sure it's GPSed, but he said he'll be within, a meter. I went on to the county site and I talked to Jason Davies about it. And the lines are there, but they're not, they could be, he said up to 30 feet difference. If I went and just used those as references, because there is a northeast or northwest readings that you can actually take off of the site. He said they're not going to be accurate.
Is there another solution to this? Like, would the owner allow us to put
That's,
Jersey bars or
that's the
something?
next thing that I was, once he gets back to me.
Yeah,
Instead of going through all this process of having it surveyed, if they're willing to let
Just a
us.
gentleman's agreement, pretty
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
is the best way
Exactly.
to do
Something
it.
there to keep the vehicles back.
That's
But
right.
it-
That's all we want.
Yes.
but you're saying that no matter what, the survey isn't going to be accurate.
Well,
so
he said it will be
Within,
within a meter.
within. But I think that that's an easier solution,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
Just
exactly.
get them to,
And
Right.
I said to the property owner, I said, we would only put them in about 8 feet. And that should give us a good amount of, that everybody can see when they're coming around.
I do that corner all the time because of, anyway. If you are on the white line, it's not that bad.
No,
So it doesn't have to be 50 feet back in
No.
to get any kind of
No.
sight line there, right?
No.
And I see, and if you look, even when you come out from the Legion to Paparons, if you look up the road, that's a far worse intersection to make.
Yeah.
And also, if you're coming from say the Catholic Church and you take a look up to the left on Highway 41, that trying to get across those are way worse
Oh, yes.
intersections than
for sure,
Augsburg Road coming out.
for sure.
So it's not like we have to take them back, like I said, a mile into the
No,
parking
and
lot.
that's what I had said to
We
the
would
owner,
only need a little bit of
That's
room to
right,
bring
yes.
it back, so we can stay well within our.
8 to 10 feet, and that should
That's right.
that should, if the lines are right, that should put us very close to his property and township property.
If we have that kind of grace.
That's right, yes.
see, if it was all just like Toyota Tercels and Chevy Cavaliers, it'd be fine, but it's all huge pickup trucks.
That's right. And where everything's very much higher.
Yeah, and I said it before, I wouldn't want to be in a car trying to
That's right.
look around them, but I agree, I think if we can just push them back even
Yeah.
6 feet.
Keep them from overhanging is basically what the whole deal
Yes.
is.
And
right?
they are, they're actually further out now with the planters gone.
Yes. And they will be till the snowplow builds up and then
Right.
they will have to stay back.
I think that's probably an easier solution all around.
Yes.
Yeah, like I say, we don't, just stay well within our limits, do something there.
Yeah,
And like we wouldn't have to go to Jersey bars, we could. It might be just as simple as getting a few more flower boxes.
yeah,
Just for appearance.
yeah.
I think we have, there's 3 there right now. So if we got probably 2 or 3 more, that would probably be sufficient to string it up that nobody could do in between. And
And it look nice.
well, that's right.
It's natural.
Yes,
You could put little Christmas trees in it.
good. We could. So I will definitely get talking to the owner again and then put that proposal to him. That was an option that we had. We talked about that, so.
Perfect.
Okay. The traffic speed sign was placed again on Hartwig from November 7th to the 14th. The data didn't show a whole lot
Yeah.
of speeding. Wasn't. Wasn't very bad at all. So there was 727 vehicles. And maximum speed was 65. So there was only a couple over.
10%.
Most of them are in the speed limit.
Or 10% over.
Roughly.
Yeah,
Most of them are in the speed limit, both too.
Yes, yeah. And to make that corner where we had it set up, that's the most suitable spot that we could find. Someone would be doing a little more than what they should have been.
it was mentioned to me that it should now be placed closer to the parking lot of the school. Just to see what
Okay,
the straight stretch would be.
all right. Okay, we will put that in also.
Is there a spot to put it on Forest Shoot just before you hit like the community zone there? Just a curiosity, so we can have comparisons before it was paved and after it was paved.
Put it in Tim's yard.
Yeah,
I was gonna say the
Tim's yard. If it can
exact
fit the
same
big,
thing.
if it can fit the big political sign, I'm sure it can fit
Yeah.
a radar.
Yeah, I don't see a problem.
I was just curious for
Tim's like, I don't want to.
comparison. It's kind of something I want to see the numbers on. Just I do think we'll see a speed increase there.
Oh, yes.
And it's just in that especially in the small community zone where you do have a lot of houses really condensed.
Sure.
Mhm.
But there would be a lot of-
Wouldn't be a bad, in all honesty, it'd actually be a pretty good spot.
It is, yeah.
It's hidden away.
Yeah,
It is, yeah.
because you're just coming into the 50 there.
There's a few other spots that I could show that we can put it on.
Perfect.
Shoulders are probably better than on my front lawn, but hey, maybe if I'll go with that one too.
Front lawn?
Especially with the shoulders corner, we could hide it there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know, that'd be awesome.
But if you want to put a little bit of tinsel on it, and with all the lights blinking and stuff, it might be festive.
my gosh, we're Christmassy today. I want little Christmas trees. Tim wants tinsel.
Yeah.
So I was really excited about number 4. I don't think that I've been this excited about a problem being solved. So there was an issue.
There was an issue,
So that makes me very happy.
yes.
Yeah,
Um,
problem solved.
Yes, so they had suggested just to keep an eye on it. We did do the repair, but everything else he seemed to be all right with.
Okay.
So we'll just keep an eye on
I
it.
wonder what took it out of its loop.
It could have, I don't know, I don't really know. He didn't explain it, he just said that he found the problem with the loop and that's,
Well, we had probably,
Was that what it was?
not that long ago, somebody took out the whole traffic light.
Something like that.
Depending on how it was put back, maybe that knocked it out a little.
That's
it could have, I have assigned Dale Virch as acting manager. He will be on a 3-month probation period.
And he did very well during the emergency exercise last week. Did very well.
I believe everyone got his numbers. Christine was supposed to have done that.
No.
No,
No, I haven't
No?
got it yet.
no.
Sorry about that.
Number 6.
They have been finished.
And I'll tell you, the reflectors there at the BMO, I've got compliments on those already.
Have you?
I have. The guys out there are extremely happy with those
Okay.
because anybody that has to make that corner with the 48 or a 53-foot trailer really appreciates people staying in their lane. And, from our point of view, it's a lot cheaper than a roundabout,
I don't like roundabouts. And
I had to throw that in
I
there.
will say, I knew that they were there because I drove over them. And so what you just said is exactly right.
Yes.
Even though I have the internal rumble strips in my truck, I was over and I drove over them.
And-
So,
And that's the whole perception of that corner. A lot of people, what I see every day, they tend to cut corners with their little cars. You have this little Geo Metro that's about 3 feet wide, and they're on the wrong side of the road on the corner, and you're shaking your head, why?
Shorter
And
distance,
at least,
better
but
gas
they
mileage.
they can't see, and 90% of the time, our lines go on so late in the fall, they're covered with snow. And then when the springtime comes, they're all rubbed off because you plowed all the snow, and the plows have been over them all winter. So at least this way, you're always gonna have a visual for the people to stay in their lane.
And it does help. It does help.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if maybe in the future, maybe we'll look at it maybe next year too, as our S corners going up towards the church.
Mhm.
It might be, if they're going to be effective,
Sure.
just
Yeah.
as a thought there, because those are, and that was where I'm getting suggestions out on the big CB. Out on the big C- No, and it was brought to my attention too, it's hard for two trucks to meet.
I'm
It
sure.
is narrower there. It seems like it's narrow.
And the last thing any of us want to do is hit one of those big curbs and then have a wheel come off in 3 days, right?
Yeah.
Because everything is so tight when you're doing it, at least this way, like I say, in the event that you have a little bit of snow on the line or whatever, it doesn't get it, or if they get rubbed off like they do every year, that it has people in the right lane.
Well, in my opinion, the corner at Queen is just as bad as the corner at BMO,
Mhm.
right? That curve. So, yeah, let's use this as a pilot project and see how it goes.
But like I say, I've gotten lots of positive feedback on it, and I'll ask different guys that I meet there on the corner, what do you think of them? And oh my gosh, they said they're excellent, so.
I'm not gonna name names, but I did have one of my girlfriends think that it was somebody's brake light or their hazard light falling, that it had fallen off the car.
Oh.
But I will not name names because we're on Hootie.
Okay, that's fine. Initials are fine.
No, no, I'm not, no.
That's fine.
But I thought you guys would think that was funny.
Yeah, no, but and even the groove itself, it's,
Yeah.
even if it comes to the point where the reflector is a little bit covered up or whatever, something, you're still gonna see what
Oh,
it is
yes.
there.
Yes, for sure.
And I think I probably, I'm right. You just went ahead and did it this year. But it being 41 highway, for God's sakes, don't ask the MTO, if you're studying for the next 5 years, if you want to put some up, do it.
Yeah.
Merv, what has my mantra been? It's
These are
either
the big-
our road or it's a provincial road. Pick a lane.
It's
No
easy-
pun intended.
It's easier to beg forgiveness than to ask permission.
Well, they're more welcome to pay for it though. That's the,
Oh my
that's the
God.
truth there.
Over the years, it's been very frustrating. We want to do something, they say it's their road. We want it paved, they say it's our road. Which is it? We want to put up a sign, they say it's their road. It's,
Want to make a crosswalk, you can't do that.
yeah, no, exactly. So I loved your email, by the way, about recycling. Woohoo, this made my day. So you met with them, which is great.
Yes.
Do they have a plan for commodity for recycling? Like,
They have quite a package deal.
okay,
As of right now, they have their rates set for what, like anybody can go and drop off, any resident, whoever, right?
okay.
As of January 2020, they're gonna be up and running. They're gonna be collecting everything,
Wow.
like your recyclables, batteries, tires, you name it, anything to do with recycling, you're gonna collect it.
Separated recycling or is it commingled?
It's more money if you commingle, like if you put everything together in a single stream. It's about $50 more a ton, maybe a little more.
Whoa, that's substantially more.
Yeah, if it's single stream.
Okay,
Double stream is quite a bit less, which we're running right now.
okay. So I guess that this is a budget consideration for next year.
Yes, well, we would probably want to look at it now so we could have it started for next year.
Okay,
Because they're planning on having it open by January.
okay.
They're already there, they're cleaning up, they're inspecting the building, getting everything ready to go, checking machinery. And they're quite big. They have 40 locations all in Ontario and all across Canada and a couple in the States. They employ
then.
11,000 people.
So in your professional opinion, does this make sense to sign on with them? Do you have a staff recommendation?
Do we have a different choice?
Right now, we don't have much of a choice.
It's,
Because I understand, I talked to Sue at Ottawa Valley Waste,
mhm.
and if they get another partner in, they're gonna cut us back, or cut everyone back that is hauling up there right now. Because they have to look after their partners first before they bring anyone else in.
Okay, well, one of the things that we promised the people around the Ruby Road site was that we would not dump recyclables in there.
No.
It's, that was very important to everybody that sat on council at the time, to make sure that these people weren't afraid of us, especially things like electronic, like
Yeah.
batteries and such. So I think we have to defer to what you're saying, Jason. If this is our virtually only option, and just out of curiosity, is it less than OVWRC?
It's a little bit more.
It's a little bit more,
Yes.
okay, but it's consistent, and we
Yes.
won't be kicked out if they have, right, okay.
Yes, so other than the haul the recyclables to Ottawa, which is costing a fortune.
So they'd be coming and pick them up then? with this, or what?
Well, right now, we haven't worked out a price yet for them to come and use their truck to pick up. We'd have to look at that and see what they're gonna charge us to come from Renfrew up to pick up our recyclables and move our garbage for us and do all that. But yes,
Okay.
And that's,
or we can make a contract with another company to do all that.
to do the moving
Pickups,
force.
yes, yes. But that's all.
Because it's gonna be probably substantial if they have to go around to every site to come pick things up too. It's not like they're picking up at a central location.
No, that's right. But when Bowman was doing it, Bowman wasn't charging just by the ton. It was by the route.
By the hour,
Well, not really by the hour, Jack. It was just by the day.
by the day.
Right. So, and then if they would pick up one part, like either commingle or cardboard one day, and then the next day they'd be back up to dump our garbage and then dump the garbage at the waste site and then do a backhaul back to Renfrew. That's what they were doing.
Have we ever looked at it? I know we talked about this before when I was on council stuff. Have we ever looked at it, us going with our own truck for doing that? Is that like substantially just totally out of ballpark, or is it realistic, or?
I do have some numbers. The biggest cost is going to be a truck.
Obviously, yes.
And at this meeting that we were at with Emtrim and Emtura, their lifespan of their trucks is 7 to 10 years, and then they get rid of them. So to buy a used truck, I would say you're looking at trouble.
Yeah.
So a new truck is around 350 plus.
Right.
The next thing would be to rig it up to pick up recyclables and garbage in town, to use it for like everything.
So even at, say, a maximum lifespan of 10 years, by the time you rig it, you're probably looking at 40,000 a year.
Possibly.
But we get more than 10 years.
Yes, because we're not running it as much as
Right.
It
they,
would be realistically, if it was maintained, looked after properly, there
20
should be no
years.
reason, yeah,
15 to 20,
Yeah.
no problem.
there should be no reason why we don't get that.
Jason,
amount
you're
of time.
talking about a truck that will dump containers
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
and at the same time pick up road? No, I don't think is that something like that even available?
Well, with that style of truck,
Yeah.
the driver would be on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He would be standing. So in town, it's gonna be a little tougher. You're gonna have to have two people. And the other person would have to be on the other side and have to get out and, throw.
We have 3 right now.
That's right.
I think it's something we have to look into
I
and
know.
look it over.
Because we have no idea what the cost is for them gonna come to do it and move it. Like, I think we need that.
We need that info.
We need the numbers so we can actually,
Yeah.
But, if we're doing in-house, we can also like maybe expand a little bit too, right? So.
Maybe it's a shared service that we do.
but
It sometimes works and
yeah, I know, but I just think we need the numbers so that we can, because before, I know they're the only ones and we're probably gonna be stuck going with them, that's one thing, but there's one way to be stuck going with them to sell the stuff, another way is to be stuck with paying whatever price they have and they can arbitrarily move a gear about
That's
fuel
right.
costs, whatever, labor rates, whatever, it's just,
and that was brought up too, about insurance.
Right.
Their rates are quite high.
Yeah.
And that's something that's gonna just keep going up and up and up.
yeah, so like if sure, it's a big cost for us now, but if it's something we can budget over 15 years,
Yes.
it's not near as big a cost as, and then uncertainty that you're gonna have over
That's right.
3 or 4 years or
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah.
Like even if they don't exist, we're still gonna need that truck to move our own. dirt.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what, yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
we still need
absolutely.
it for our own, you know what I
That's
mean?
right. Yeah.
And you know what I mean? So it's not like all of a sudden in 2 years, they're not here anymore. Now we invested this. That's not.
Now, that company has been in business since,
1976.
that's,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, but I'm just.
Oh.
Yeah, no,
I'm
that's
just
right.
saying, we need it anyway,
Yes,
right? for
yes.
moving. Because if all of a sudden you're gonna now take that company's time to physically take our stuff and move it to Ruby.
But they'd be doing the same thing as what Bowman was doing, right?
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
There's totally different. This is an established company, Bowman's,
But also a different billing model as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jason, would you mind coming back to our December 17th meeting with, sorry,
This would be January.
no, December.
Oh,
The
okay.
next meeting. with
our next
some-
meeting, do you mind coming back with some numbers?
Because if you want us to do something, we need the numbers, or
Yes.
whatever you can get the numbers, send them to us, and then we can come back
Yes.
and talk to us.
I have started a bunch,
Okay,
but I will do everything and make sure that I will get a price on the new truck and see if it will work out with the front load.
And the side load.
I think right now,
Front load and back
we
load?
can get the side load with the front load,
Okay.
but I think right now it may work better with the front load using the arms
Uh-huh.
and then make a bin. That you could just go down the street and just keep throwing it in and then just can it over.
Okay.
so one of the challenges with the side load, and you watch this happen in Toronto all day long. So on one side of most residential streets, there's no parking. So the truck goes along and the arm picks up the recycling and dumps it and puts the bin back down. But then you watch them on the other side of the road where the cars are parked, and you still need another person to get out and load those
Roll it-
recyclables.
roll it in.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's some efficiencies, I guess, on one side, but not so much on the other.
Well, we already have individuals that do that, so I think you'd be better off to, like you say, design
Yeah.
yourself a little, that you can load it and just go
Right.
and use the same, that way you have, it's like everything else, if you don't use it a lot, you're just gonna have problems. This way
That's
you're using the same arms all the time,
Yeah.
you're using it.
Yes. Yeah, because you can't have a rear load with the arms.
Yeah.
It has to be that truck and basic and that's it.
Yeah.
But
the
again,
way
we
to go about
we need numbers from them,
Yeah.
what they're gonna
Yeah.
cost us to
Yes.
do this.
Can you provide the original Bowman's, like what we're getting charged before too?
I
Just
have
for
that here too.
comparison.
I'll get that printed off.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Can you just email it to us?
Mhm.
Great,
Do that.
thank you.
Any more questions on
Do
that?
we want Jason?
To
To talk about Sunset Lane, yes, the
I-
ongoing saga
Well,
of
to
Sunset
to
Lane.
me, it's a pretty easy. Our bylaw basically says it doesn't fit within our requirements.
Okay, so I'm getting two different stories, and I'm not savvy enough with road building to know. I understood that this was a real road built by Greenwood Paving.
That I don't know. I think Ralph actually
It,
did.
Oh,
it doesn't matter, it's got hot mix, right? It's not the same material ours is.
okay,
So there.
that I did not know.
Right there, that's one of the issues. The
Okay.
second issue is
The width.
it's supposed to serve 5 individuals as a minimum on our bylaw. We have nobody, we don't have 5 residents there.
Well,
No,
I think the hope from some of the residents is that Bonnechere Valley would take over all of Sunset Lane.
there-
So the additional 500 meters.
yeah, but we're still not getting any, they're not our residents. That's not our township.
But that's what they are asking is, could we absorb them?
That's not about getting a road. That's a totally different subject. That's something between us and NAW.
Yes,
So until that is done, I don't think this road fits into our requirements. I
okay,
really don't
but
think.
what I was gonna ask Jason to do was to go and verify what that road looks like.
I was on it yesterday.
Oh, you were, okay,
Yes.
so,
The road has been chipped. I went and did some measuring on it. Yeah, the top is 6'1" with no shoulders. The bylaw says it has to be 8 meters.
right,
That's not only that, but it being chipped, that means we'd have to run a separate truck compared to what's plowing in town.
No.
Because you're gonna put salt on that road?
Well, you shouldn't really.
Well, you shouldn't, because then would they be on our backs for the road being destroyed? So if we're gonna put salt in town, you don't have salt, so you need another truck. to do that. Like, this-
yeah, that's not, I didn't realize that it was,
This is,
Yeah.
I think it's a no-brainer. But
okay. I didn't realize that it was not 8 meters. What I'm being told, of course, is that it is 66 feet, but it's not, is what you're telling us.
It might be a 66-foot right of way, but the road surface.
The
That's what I mean.
surface
is
That's-
gone.
Sorry, that's what I
That's
meant,
right.
yes.
surface is too small.
All right. Thanks for looking into that.
I wanted to make sure I had all the information ahead of time.
Yeah, thanks, Ray. Any other questions?
Just number 8. McIntosh and Perry
Okay.
has submitted the application for the funding for the connecting link. So
That's great.
that's been submitted, so hopefully cross our fingers and toes and everything will be brought forward.
Excellent.
When do we, when's the expected time to hear about it?
I have no
Maybe
idea.
Dana could answer. Oh, there you go,
In
the
the, in
spring.
the spring? Okay.
Excellent.
Any other questions?
Anything else, Warren?
No.
There you go.
We're good.
Excellent.
So, yeah, if you can get us that stuff,
Yes.
Jason, then we can,
Yeah,
next meeting, we can make a decision on that.
I will, I'm already half done it, so it's a head start.
Yeah, just make sure you get the stuff from them, what they want.
Yes.
And that they're aware of all the different sites and
Yes.
locations they have to go to.
And what our what our expected man hours would be on top of that.
Yes.
That's perfect. Thanks,
Yep,
Jason.
and with benefits and everything else.
Yeah.
With it, because you're gonna have to hire.
Yeah. For sure.
yeah, I think, yeah, full package, yeah.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Can we take 5?
I guess we can take a break, yeah.
Because then we've got Mike in here from Township.
Mike here at what time? Okay, Mike, come on up to the chair in the middle.
Thank you. Under the microscope.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Guess for those that don't know me, my name is Mike Caillé. I'm with the Bonnechere Snowmobile Club, volunteer. I hold the title of president. And I'm just here in case I don't know if you've seen the documentation about the OFSC agreement that we're looking to see Bonnechere Valley undertaking with us for the trail, which is the former CN rail bed between Killaloe and Pickwagon.
So Mike, were you never given the legal agreement that we had made up?
A couple of years ago,
Yes.
yeah, we couldn't, the insurance company is not gonna do anything with that. That's why I'm here today. Why it's at the 11th hour, we found out at the 11th hour that the insurance company now,
Go ahead.
the insurance company that insures the trails for the OFSC, the Ontario Federation of Snowmobile Clubs, will not give any insurance to any other agreement other than what the agreement that's been, that they have, the standard agreement, I should say.
The question I have is your KHR in there.
Okay, so I put CN rail bed between Tranquility Bay Road and KHR.
Oh,
Township,
okay.
Killaloe Haggerty Richard Township.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted, I was trying to figure out why.
I was trying to be as specific as possible. It was 2 points. And also there's a map attached that shows the boundaries. And the reason I'm here is I just wanted, if there's any questions to ask, but there's an urgency because if we can't get an agreement, then we can't open that trail. Because the insurance company is inflexible. They won't honor the old CN agreement that we've been using the last couple of years. Because the last time I was here discussing that, the previous legal agreement that was drafted by the lawyer, they wouldn't insure for that. And at that time, it was agreed it would be status quo, just the way it was with the CN agreement. And that's how we've been running the last couple of years since Bonnechere Valley took ownership. And now we just found out that unless we get an agreement as indicated, what we supplied earlier, we just had one signed by Pickwagon. They went and signed the agreement the way we have it now. We had to have discussions with them for quite a period of time before they finally signed on, but they've signed on. And that agreement, that's what we use for all the landowners. Any place we have a trail, that's the agreement we use. And now the insurance company is saying if you get something different, we're not insured.
So that's the same agreement you have with KHR then?
Yeah, theirs has been for a while. It's been for some time, so that's the agreement that would have been signed.
So I guess my biggest concern is the term for liability arising from the grooming, maintenance, and use of the snowmobile trail, but only with respect to negligence of the club. And that, I just wonder what happens if it's perfectly groomed and something happens.
Yeah, as far as snowmobile activities, it should not be a problem. They insure for anything that's revolves around snowmobiling. So you have a snowmobiler that's using the trail and he ends up in an accident, and it's part of the game.
Like even if he was speeding, it's still part of the game?
Yeah.
If the trail was in good shape?
Yeah.
Because that's not quite the way it reads, right? It says
Yeah.
it says it's more hinged on if it had something to do with, say if the guy was grooming and he picked up a stick and the stick came out, or, it doesn't really say if it's negligence of the operator.
I can't,
I'm just reading it, right?
Yeah.
That's the way, that's the
Well,
way I read it.
That's the way I read it. So that was my concern. I mean, we all know joint and several liability, which is the bane of our existence. But I am concerned about that one line. The rest of it seems fine. But I'm wondering if that's something that your insurance company demanded, that line be inserted.
You mean adding something to it?
No, I mean, whomever wrote this MOU,
Yeah,
I'm just wondering if that came straight from your insurance company.
well, I'm sure that when these things are drafted, I'm obviously not there when you do it, but I'm sure it's done probably in concert with insurance companies. So I don't know. I don't know exactly who drafts these up. Since my involvement with snowmobiling, this document has been changed maybe 3-4 times now. So this is a brand new one that we just got 3-4 months ago. They've added a couple of lines. Not line number 1, which they give the option of putting a start date and an end date. That didn't used to be there. And the last line, which says additional conditions, that never used to be there.
Okay, so what you're saying then, the agreement that you have with KHR is not this one, it's different.
It would be different, yeah,
Would be
it would be different, but the wording couldn't have been much more different. Like this one, I think it indicates a 15, I think the amount 15 million is in there. They never used to put an amount in there. So now they got the amount in there, $15 million.
Yeah.
Per incident.
Okay, so I have a question. How quickly do you think our insurance company could look at this and turn it around for us?
Probably a couple days.
I would just like number 3 to be vetted by our insurance company. That wording is very difficult for me.
I'll see if I can find out anything else that can help you
That'd be great.
as far as, that's line number 3, correct?
Yeah.
So if there's something else I can, help.
I was fine with the rest of it. I don't know if anybody else had any concerns.
Well, no, that's the.
That was the, okay.
I also I sent to Dana also by email the insurance certificate per se.
Okay.
So I don't know if you look at that, if that helps to clarify anything that it's.
We don't have it.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Well, we can send that out by email.
Yeah, I just like some clarification on that one line.
Yeah, that's the insurance certificate.
I kind of, and I've read that a number of times. The local snowmobile provide liability insurance in Rockland for liability arising from grooming maintenance and use of snowmobile trail, but only with respect to negligence of the local snowmobile club for those operational use of snowmobile trail.
We would need
That seems to
see
say
the
to me,
policy itself.
That's more for the private landowners than for this one, where you maybe go across a field and if you dig up a hay field.
That's all he
I don't
said.
know.
We've never had any time we've had accidents or anything. I've never had, in my experience and what I've been dealing with, there's never been any issues with coverage. Never, whether,
I agree, Mike, but this year, I think this is, like you said, there's some wording and new in this. I just think they're trying to get themselves totally, remove themselves from it.
I agree.
So if there is an issue, then there's not us, go,
And that's only the certificate of insurance. That's not the policy.
yeah, it's not a fault, it's a certificate, that's correct.
And the devil is in the details. So would you mind?
No.
Okay, I think that's the way to move forward.
Okay.
I mean, if we can have a couple of days turnaround.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we're obviously not opening trails anytime soon.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, we've had this discussion a lot today about the good weather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I know, and I know this is not Bonnechere Valley, but I know Pickwagon had a lot of concerns about the insurance.
Yeah.
And it dragged on for quite a while before they finally signed on. So I don't know what they did in the background to satisfy themselves, but they signed it and they signed it exactly the way it is. The only thing they added for only 1 year. So it ends in May, I believe. Then we'll have to revisit with them again
Next year.
So other than that, they didn't put any additional condition. We attached a map just like we did with this.
So this, Mike, is just for snowmobiling, nothing to do with ATV
No.
and stuff in the summer or nothing.
No, this is only Township.
And if I understand correctly, the ATV club's got an agreement with the township for the ULC and railroad.
Yeah, there's been some consternation about that as well, I think. Yeah. Yeah, so if that's okay with you, Mike, I'm sure you can liaise with Sandra. She'll get some additional information for council.
Yeah.
And we'll try and clear this up quickly for you.
Yeah, much appreciated. I just, I wanted to be here to try and clear up as much as I can. Unfortunately, I can't give you any more details on number 3.
Well, you're not an insurance agent, we understand.
But anyways, it's unfortunate, but that's where we're sitting.
Yeah.
And there, if we don't have insurance, you can appreciate that we can't open a trail without insurance.
Yes, for sure.
Thank you very much for your time.
So I had it open, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Mike. Do you want the chief?
Yeah, we'll get the chief's out in his car, is it? Where he was at, was he in there? I have no idea.
Lost contact.
We'll get her ironed out.
Don't force it, just hit it with a bigger
Sandra,
hammer.
if James is coming to do some wiring and that kind of thing, can we get mics?
The guy is coming on the 5th to give us a quote. The guy
Okay,
in
great.
Pembroke.
Cool. And we can do karaoke. Council karaoke.
You can do karaoke.
No.
We contacted a company out of Pembroke.
Okay. Yeah,
Before
because
he
the-
gives us a price, he wanted to come here, so he's coming on the 5th.
Yeah, just to see the layout.
So it was handy that you just went ahead and moved desks.
I had nothing to do with this.
Mike, sir? Jason?
Do you think we need mics with them turned around like this?
I think we should have mics.
I do too.
And then you want like mics on each desk.
Yeah. Well, we're not gonna pass one around.
No, I just didn't know if, like, do you turn them on and off, or they just sit?
No, the ones at county, you flip on
Yeah.
and off.
Is that the type you want?
Yeah.
Or just active at all times, so it's picking up general accessibility?
I think on and off.
Get it cost.
I don't know anything about it. So.
Active would probably be cheaper.
You think? I don't really care one way or the other.
No, I just, that's something, so. Can you send them a text?
Yeah.
Can I get a copy of Michael Johnson's letter?
Oh, yes, you can.
Okay, because it wasn't in the, because you were saying that it wasn't yet in the packet, but then you've made it.
We added.
It came in on Thursday, I think.
Thank you.
Anything for you, Deb.
Oh, thank you.
Deb, do you have total package of data?
I have the, oh, it is, where is it?
If I could,
Michael, want to pull
I
that?
don't know the insurance company right now.
Oh, that'd be great. Good plan.
I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't like that clause.
Oh, that's right.
Sorry, yeah. Okay.
See how fast we are at responding?
Oh my goodness, yeah. Thank you. Miraculously, it appeared.
You ask and you shall receive.
Okay, well, I'll have to ask Santa for other things then, if I'm
Yeah.
on the lucky roll today.
I think the challenge there
Faster.
is that you could
Faster
claim that they
getting
were,
pothole fixed on Esther's Road.
that they weren't perfectly groomed. And what does one snowmobiler think about grooming as opposed to another snowmobiler? Like, is it up to
This is
the?
cozy.
person
If you only know
taking the
somebody that
accident?
works that, okay?
Use Township.
I wasn't comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Hello,
Okay, hello,
This is cozy.
Just a minute.
Sandra's.
this was a surprise from the boys. They did this without me knowing.
I left when they started doing it. Didn't want any part of it.
You didn't help?
No.
No.
He ran like.
I'll cover the-
That's right, exactly.
Scampered out. Didn't want to be on your raft list.
I love this. I think it works very well.
Yeah.
I do feel a bit exposed, but I still like it.
This way, next week she'll come on to dirt. So.
Oh, yeah. Spitballs?
Slingshot.
Yeah. Spitballs.
We're just waiting on Sandra. She just needed to email something to our insurance company.
Get yourself all geared up for budget day?
Yeah.
Tim, what's your fuel?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, that's
We're
good.
gonna start working on that very shortly.
Very good.
You're the first
Yeah, high
one.
hopes that for next year.
You're the
Yeah.
first one up again,
I have
aren't
high
you?
hopes.
Well, it's always good to have high
Really
hopes.
mean.
It's always good to have high hopes.
I think you're the first one up again for budget
If
too.
you don't have hopes, what
Good
else
stuff.
can you have, right?
Perfect.
Yeah.
It's out of
Big
the
shoulders.
way, you know the time you have to be there, it's perfect.
Go ahead,
Am I up?
you're up.
Okay, relatively quiet so far, into the fall and early winter now, which is good. I think our messages, I think Laura's done a really good job with our social media messages and fire safety messaging, whether it be the paper or Facebook or, it seems to be, since she's been doing it, it's our call numbers for certain things like chimney fires and, accidental stuff that could have been easily prevented seem to be going down, which is really good to see. So, I've even noticed the last little while that some of our repeat offenders that we've had to visit for no permits are actually now online getting permits. So, which is good. So I'm happy to see that. Back to my stuff. So I'm not sure if community safety, it's been a couple of years now coming back to us. It's an organization from out west that once they get my approval, what they do is they have booklets and stuff like that we like prevention stuff that we take to the schools. What they do is they call local businesses and ask if they would donate to the cause. And so with the amount of money raised, that goes to build the public education material. And then we have it, we get it, and then we take it out to the school. So we're not actually purchasing it like we would normally. So I think it's a really good thing that they've done. We have done it a couple of years, kind of in a row, and then I think they reach out to different departments around. They don't just go after one department every year for it. So just to spread the prevention material around. So
It was really nice when the province gave you money for this sort of thing.
and then took it away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Weird thing to take away.
that, I've always had a problem with budgeting for fire prevention material, having to purchase it with budgeted funds and then giving it back to the taxpayers. So like taking tax money, buying a brochure, giving it back to them. So I think the province really needs to fund municipalities that have, 5,000 or less, 10,000 or less ratepayers. That would be definitely something that I would be behind. With our limited budgets, I just find it's ridiculous that we have to do that, and we're mandated to do it, so we don't have a choice. So the money has to come from somewhere. So anyway, the second thing, MTO, the rates went up to 485 November 1st, which is good. It seems to be steadily going up. I think the last time, within the last year or year and a half, it's gone from 450 to 485. So it is increasing.
Better to do it incrementally though, than all of a sudden go,
Yep.
oh my gosh, we have to increase it by $1,000.
Yeah.
But our bylaw is that we just follow the MTO rates, right? We
Yeah.
don't have to pass another bylaw.
We took the numbers out,
Just- Good, okay.
yeah,
Just wanted
which it makes it much easier.
Yeah. clean up.
And like I said, there's a new reporting system coming online in January. So hopefully it'll streamline the system a little bit. It's right now I submit and then I keep checking because there's a box on the bottom of my submission form, MTO comments. If they make a comment and you don't react to it and you just let it go, you'll lose the money, right? So I keep checking, but now what I've been doing is I'm emailing them directly and saying status update, and then they get back to me and say it's approved. I have one from last month that's going to be paid out this month. So, but I just hound them until they get back to me, and then I find it's much easier doing that because I think we're kind of lost in a sea in the MTO with the amount of departments. And I think the department that pays us, they get paid from another branch of government. So there's more hands in the, or spoons in the soup than just between me and MTO. There's other branches of government that deal with that money as well. So
What's the normal turnaround for that? Like, if you don't have them, what does it take months? Like,
well, we have 60 days to claim.
okay,
So I usually do it right away.
Yeah.
Usually within 2 months or so, we see a payment,
see if it-
you know, so it's not bad.
Yeah, it's fairly efficient for
Yeah.
when the government's involved, yeah.
No, definitely.
Mhm.
And following up is very important with them.
Definitely.
I know they're just like any other government.
Yeah, email is a
organization.
good idea though.
Yeah.
Especially if you have the direct contact,
Yeah.
speeds it up.
Absolutely.
That's good.
Yeah, so it's worked out really well. So I was contacted by the new manager of academic standards and evaluation unit last month to meet. So this unit was a unit that had worked with a couple of years back, trying to get some sort of connection between local rural fire departments and community colleges, because we don't have regional training centers here, accredited OFM training centers here. So instead of us sending people to fire college or sending them to Trenton or wherever there's a recognized training facility, we were trying to come up with some sort of plan to connect the community college as an provincially accredited learning facility with local fire departments, right, to be able to do it locally. We were working on that. It fell apart after the election. So, and the lady that I was working on it with quit, and she went to Mississauga Fire. So anyway, so this new manager, first he wanted a date to meet face to face. So I gave him a couple of dates. Then the date, he had to change the date. And now it's phone meeting. So let's see what happens, how far they're actually willing to go, because I emailed him back saying I was very interested, that I had been involved in this before, and the parameters of the meeting keep changing. So let's see if it works or not. Let's just, if I can actually get a meeting with him. I imagine that it shouldn't be an issue, the phone thing, but he decided he didn't want to come all the way here from Toronto, I guess, to meet with people, so with local people. And I've talked to a few other chiefs around. They haven't been contacted by him, so I'm not sure what the process is with the new manager. And how the OFM is going to work this, but it should be interesting to see. So Pequawknagon, I did meet with them. They do want, they are interested in entering a heavy extrication agreement. I think we'd spoken about this before. So Sandra did a lot of work redoing a version of a draft bylaw, and it was a version that we used with NAW. I just changed the names out, but then back and forth with insurance and legal. I don't know if legal was involved, Sandra. I'm sure it was just insurance. That you dealt with.
Insurance is legal.
The insurance is legal.
That was a good idea.
It's a completely different document now, which is a lot more coverage for liability and insurance and whatnot. So it's if you look at the two side by side, the current NAW and the Pequawknagon one, it's a completely different document now. I think Sandra also, you redid the NAW one, right? Like the previous NAW one that we used as an
I was
example.
gonna say,
So
you're gonna revisit the NAW one.
I'm not sure if Sandra brought that to
It's in
council
here.
yet or not. It's in the
Yeah.
Queued up
package.
to be passed
Yeah.
tonight.
So the next challenge is to revisit the first response agreement. And we're gonna have to probably introduce that kind of liability protection as well in our first response fire agreement. So I think that's probably the way the world's gonna go now, with protecting yourself at all, with every piece of insurance verbiage you can, to make sure that you don't get sued.
We just had this conversation
Yeah.
about the snowmobile
Yeah.
club, so yeah.
So anyway, so I haven't heard back from them yet. I was hoping to before the end of December, so that we could sign them on for January 1st. So I'll follow up probably in a week or so and just see I'm not sure when their band council meets. So they've had it for about a week. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, and that's it. Other than that, MRF, I reported back to them on our year end. We had no MRF calls, and I also they updated the staff contact list, which I told them they'll have to update again in January. So
Yeah. So other than that, everything else seems to be running smoothly. I've got some people that are up for 10-year and 20-year certificates. Well, I'll be handing with, and I've got pins for them as well, that I will be handing out at the firefighter Christmas party. Not the
Oh, that's
municipal
when
one.
you're doing it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we'll do it at the firefighter one. And I have
Okay.
2 people that I've got in process now for the Governor General, for the federal one, for the 20-year. And it's just been a process trying to get that, or because it has to go to the province first and then the federal government, and they don't tell you that. So I originally sent it to the feds, and then 6 months later, oh, you have to send it here. So then I sent it back. So it'll happen. It's just a timing thing. You know. But other than that, everything else seems to be going okay. Oh,
Sorry?
one thing I did want to, I know there has been some talk about the efficiencies, and other municipalities have been dabbling in it, and I know we haven't really talked about it here yet, but I wouldn't mind like a heads up from council when you really want to move forward with some serious conversation about, you know, our department's efficiencies, because I have quite a few ideas I want to bring forward to council anyway in regards to that. So
Do you think, shouldn't we hear these before budget, or when did you want to do that?
Well, it wouldn't be budget money, it would
No.
all come out of the
Yeah.
No, but I
modernization.
think
Just bring it,
I think
just bring it to
early-
the next meeting. then.
early, whether January or February.
Mhm.
I've got an officers meeting next week that I will task them as well to come up with stuff. Things that they see in their day-to-day life that, you know, that become a burden and we could do better, doing it a different way or with different equipment or whatnot. So I have a few things though that I want to at least mention and, you know,
Yeah.
work on a plan towards presenting something officially regarding it, but
Well,
at
and
least
we,
bounce a few things off you.
we do need to prove out how this money is being used.
Yeah.
So, you know, we know that we're using it for our cartograph system for our new asset management program and, you know, other simple things. But yeah, if you have some ideas, I think we need to hear them.
Yeah, I do.
Because if we want to apply for more, we've got to make sure that the government likes what we've done with this allocation.
And when are we gonna start talking about budget? Seriously? March?
No, I would
February?
say February.
Okay.
One of the challenges, I would say January, but I think knowing that we're going to have a new CIO in place, I think that's probably unrealistic.
And even last year when we attempted to do it in February, I found it kind of stalled because we didn't have final numbers from our, but like from our audit and all that too.
But
Yeah,
I want to
start.
have a budget in principle so the department heads know where they can and cannot go, how much fuel they can buy.
You don't have to walk too far.
That's
I
right.
honestly haven't even looked at my fuel after going on the card system. I'll have to look at that and see how it compares to last year.
Just go last.
Yeah,
Oh,
Because-
Dave
He went
volunteered.
first
Yeah,
last
but if
time. He should be able to go last.
I know. And by that point, we're tired, right? We're a little more
Do it.
friendly at the end of the,
Yeah, round robin.
No, Dave,
Right.
Dave's smart. He'll give us like 2 things to axe and 1 positive. It's how everyone does it.
Before,
put that out there.
but what I did want, and I have talked to Sandra about this, doing a reserve account apparently has to be done, motion for council, doing a reserve account for the fire department. Does it have to be done yearly, you were saying? Okay, so every year. I think I'd like to see that, and I think I'd like the, you know, going towards budget, maybe reducing what previously was put as budget for revenue for my little department, and maybe be able to save some money yearly going down the road.
okay, yes, because we said anything over
20,000.
20,000 would
a
go
lot.
into reserve.
Yeah.
All right, I didn't look at your year-to-date budget, so where do you stand with revenue right now?
I think after we move some stuff around, I think we're maybe just over 20,000
Okay,
in true revenue.
but you've used some of it.
What?
You've used some of your revenue then?
No,
Oh, you haven't?
no.
Okay,
No, because what was happening is that if the association was paying for half of something, their money would go into revenue. So it's
oh,
kind of a
right.
false
Yeah,
number at the bottom line as to what the actual revenue
yeah,
is.
I got you.
So. I'd like to
We can revisit that then.
Yeah, but to anything that's, I would say anything that's over 20 by the time of the end of this month, if we can do something, can we, I think there's a reserve account there, but I think
There
standard
is.
says the council has to approve it. That it's, and that just keeps getting carried every year. You know, instead of that extra income just going back in the pot, I think it's smart that with the expense of fire department stuff that we save for a rainy day, one day.
I like that idea.
So do I.
And I don't think it's been done ever.
Was it going, it was going into the general revenue
General revenue,
reserve?
anything over and above.
It was probably just going into fire revenue, and then at the end of the year it rolls up.
That's what I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. No, that's probably a very important idea.
Questions?
No, I don't have anything. There you go.
Just bring your ideas to the
I
next
will.
meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have your thinking cap.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Right,
Dave.
Chief?
Now you're ready for
I don't have a lot. I will have next time. Tomorrow on Thursday, I've got a meeting of our modernization ad hoc committee, which speaks to the 4 pillars of healthcare. So that's going to be a really big deal. As you know, I chaired my last county council meeting last Wednesday, bit of an emotional day. I asked all of the press to do red eye reduction and any photos that they took. And on Thursday afternoon, I go to Kingston until Friday evening for my last Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus meeting. So that's my update. Do you guys have any questions about anything that's going on at the county? No?
The new warden will be selected on,
December 10th, next Tuesday.
Okay, number 4, I guess, municipality modernization program.
Yeah, we have the resolution for tonight.
That's it.
So we took kind of a different direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah. But you did call Steve Seller, right? Okay. Just don't want to forget that step.
6, Murph, Quarry and Pits.
yeah, I was kind of musing the other day, and what brought it on was the Fort Chute Road with 2 quarries. Back about 10 years or so ago, when the province was getting excited about granular reserves and whatnot, there was if I remember correctly, there was a proposal put forth that the municipality would get paid something like 4 cents per cubic meter, 4 cents a ton, because to help maintain the roads. Did that ever come to life? Did that ever happen? Did we were getting that money?
I think so, yes.
Okay. Because I was thinking, with Fort Chute Road at 4 cents a ton, coming out of 2 quarries and putting in reserves, it'd be nice to have in about 20 years if it needs rebuilding.
I think it just goes into general revenue.
Like I didn't.
The check comes in once a year, I think.
Okay, okay, it does happen. Yeah, I like on the budgets, I never noticed it on the income statement, but it may be plowed into something else.
But that's why, yeah, some of those accounts really need to
Like
be.
4 cents a
delineated.
cubic, 4 cents a ton, or just for something sticks in my mind. I don't know if it was 4 cents or not. But I was thinking, did that ever come to life? Or
It did.
it did. It's got legs.
It has legs.
It has legs. It has legs. Okay. As you can see, I don't know if the email come to everyone or not about septic tank inspections.
Yes.
A year or so ago when they first came out, I thought it was just another dream from the province. I didn't know that they had set up a trial thing, and there's a lot of information on there. I guess what I'm wondering do we have a problem? Or do we want to get into this? If we get into it, are we creating a solution for a problem that doesn't exist?
Well, they had this webinar on last week it was, right? And septic, I signed into it online about this, and they went on, they had 1, 2, 3, 4 different individuals talking about it, about the 4 locations that they've done trial in.
Yeah.
They went on talking about the cost it takes to do this. The average cost was around $200 to do an inspection. That's if they did an inspection, no fault found, no nothing, right? They were having issues with the compliance. It seemed to be more hinged around the Great Lake area, watershed area. My gut feeling, eventually it's gonna come here. I don't know if we want to really be the tip of the iceberg on this,
Yeah.
you know, in this area.
I think one of my challenges was that the number that they brought us, like to do the Lake Clear area and the watershed was about 218,000. And my thinking is, well, if we do it for Lake Clear, we have to do it for all of rural Bonnechere Valley. Like, why should one sector get a free septic inspection out of the tax levy, but the rest of us aren't? And if we're asking the residents to pay for it, then quite frankly, I could see non-compliance. I could see people saying, no, I'm not doing it.
Well, we even seen that in the presentation, right? They had
Exactly.
35% say they're not going to do it.
That's
So
right.
And the problem you have with that is, how far do you go to enforce it?
The problem
Right.
that I have is, if you look at the information we have, Lake Clear is not polluted except for maybe seagulls. You know, right there's relatively clean. Golden Lake has never been cleaner. Plus Golden Lake has 3 municipalities plus Bonnechere Valley.
Yeah.
Golden Lake Property Owners Association put on numerous septic tank seminars, basically for city people that have never lived with septics. And except I don't know, did Sandra, I asked for a few statistics that Dana put together for me. I don't know if she sent to everyone or not. But just over the last 4 years, we put in 99 septics in Bonnechere Valley. 34 for new construction and 65 are replacements. Now, I wish Mark was here, but I got thinking about these 65 replacements. Hydro came through here. We got our first hydro in 1952. So the septic tanks were probably running water would start happening after mid-50s to early 60s. So we say these tanks were installed, some of these systems were installed in 1960. These things are 49 or 59 years old. They've been around for a while. Plus the fact, looking at the one on the farm, now they're two.
Yeah, they're different.
The ones on the farm are just one simple, and it was installed in 65, just one tank. It wasn't a 2-stage tank. And of course, we made sure it was pumped regularly. But maybe most of these 65 were ones that were put in the late 50s, early 60s, been around for almost 60 years. And what's going to happen? I don't see a great. If your septic system stops working, you're going to get it fixed damn fast. With this lifestyle, there's no shower, no flushing the toilet, no doing the wash. And so what if it's a little bit flooded? The farmer spread manure in the farm, which spent her septage on the farm, and they get it fixed very quickly. Like, is there a problem? I don't want to create a solution for a problem that doesn't exist.
Well, like I said, I think the biggest problem you have is the people that are gonna be in non-compliance.
Yeah.
And so what are you gonna
And
do?
enforcement.
Yeah, and what are you gonna do to enforce that? How are you gonna do it? And to me, that's.
Well, my other
That's,
concern at the time was, Jack, what about people, grandma and grandpa that have retired from farming that don't have a ton of money, all of a sudden say, well, your years don't meet that, you're gonna have to have it replaced. Now, I noticed in one of the areas there, apparently the township loans them the money and
Yeah,
have to
that was,
pay it
That's-
back.
that was.
was
You're
one of the
getting into a
models,
lot
that's
of
right.
murky
was-
ground here.
I believe that was in Tim's town, I forgot.
One of the townships.
Yeah, one of the townships, there was 4 townships that did it,
Yeah.
and they went through the presentation.
But most Rideau Lakes and where a lot of the lakes, they have jumped on board, but
So-
I don't know, it's, I didn't know all this was going on.
Yeah.
Like, and I listened to the seminar, and the thing about enforcement came up, and it's how do you enforce it, to what degree, right? And that to me is the issue. you know, if somebody knows their septic's not up to date or not up to code, and they can't afford to fix it, how are you gonna
That's-
enforce it?
Well, it's like most things, everything should be focused on the educational rather than the enforcement. Envy's thing is are we gonna spend, like our quote on it was like, I think it was like 230,000, like to do this, like the septic inspections on Lake Clear specifically. But the thing is are we actually gonna end up spending, say, like, I don't know, a couple $100,000 enforcing things? It just doesn't make sense. I wouldn't want someone on my property.
Well,
And
Personally,
that's
right?
exactly it.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's the same as when some municipalities have also tried to meter people's wells and some golf courses they got meters on their wells. Well, do you think they're really the happiest clients? Well, not really. If we want more people to come to their township, then
Oh, when the meters went in Eganville, that was all the buzz around Bonnechere Valley that we were going to meter every well.
That was just a rumor.
Yeah.
The other aspect of this septic business, and I go back to when I had mine installed in '96. Like talking to the installer, apparently about 75% of the liquid in there evaporates. There's only about 25% is dispersed in the ground.
Interesting.
Depends on how much volume.
Yeah.
Depends on the volume, right? We have 1 or 2 people.
That's
if
why
you
the
have a
grass grows
family
so
of
nice
7.
on top.
That's right. The grass is always greener over the septic tank.
Yeah.
It's a book. What?
My personal opinion,
It's-
I
it's
don't
a
really,
bug.
I think we're opening up a big can of worms with this.
Yeah.
I really,
I think so too.
And again, we go back to enforcement.
Yeah.
We don't even have enough resources to fulfill our bylaw enforcement as it is right now. So I think I've got a concern about anything that is going to force us to hire more people for just this sort of thing.
And the other thing, Golden Lake is the biggest lake. We only have a portion of it.
Yes,
There are 3 other interested parties.
that's right. So we're gonna regulate in Bonnechere Valley, but
Yeah.
the other 2 in Pequapnagon are not.
the neighbor right beside your house doesn't have to worry about it, and
Exactly.
you have to pay like that, so.
well, it's
I
like
don't know
if you're buying any house, say, and you have a septic system, pretty much when you do the inspection, it's always just, even if it's 20 years old or 15 or 10, they're gonna say not too sure, like not satisfactory or whatever, like nothing's good. Like the inspections are, unless we're gonna pay a lot of money to do it, get the cameras all in there and stuff, it's just gonna come back saying insufficient, whatever. Like, I don't know, unless we're gonna spend a lot of money on all the leak tests and everything.
Well,
Just,
like-
it makes no sense.
But like you're saying, I'm looking at their Lake Clear Property Association, their PowerPoint presentation. It says right on there, 35% are not willing to participate.
Yeah, and if you look at this, so there's 308 residents, and that's why I asked the question the last meeting. You only had 142 participants out of the 230.
And
Then that's only,
That's what I-
that's 1/3 of the residents on there. And if 35% are saying that they're not compliant, and
That's
then you have
35 of the ones that.
That are-
of the ones that
Yeah.
142 that respond, and that's why I wanted that specific answer, is more that there's 308 residents, and that's what we're impacting. And it really comes down to, are we actually gonna end up enforcing it? Well, no, we can make whatever bylaws we want to everything, but it doesn't,
Well,
we're not gonna spend 800,000
I
enforcing.
think before we do this, it really comes down to, we have to get our information back from Victor about
Yeah.
phosphate,
Yeah.
if it's really an issue. If it's not an issue, or it seems to be, like all the information we've been seeing over the last couple of years, and when I sent that email to Victor about the lake, that volunteer group, the water testing has improved in the testing that was done over the last 4 years, right?
But we also need some hard and fast things from Mark Schroeder as well.
Well, that's a different issue. That has nothing to do with the water quality.
But that's about our bylaw, and that's one of the questions that was asked in their presentation, about enforcing a bylaw. And that bylaw has ambiguous language, to say the least. And I so wish that we could have opened up our zoning bylaw this year. I think it was a very important thing to get done. You know, unfortunately, you know, the provincial policy statement to the OP, to our zoning, sort of, they all the stars have to align. But yeah,
Well, the question
Yes.
is, how long are you gonna wait till you get the thing back from the county about what they're zoning about?
well, but they're going to help us with our zoning.
Yeah, but how long before we get there before? So we're just gonna keep our bylaw, keep pushing it indefinitely?
I mean, we can do an amendment, but it's,
one of the things, getting back to septic tanks, was I remember tossed around is getting a report from your pumper, the guys that pumps this, so what's the condition of your tank? Well, I had mine pumped last summer. When he finished, I said, what's the condition of the tank?
It pumped out and
Yeah.
that's what his
That's-
response will be.
Whatever that meant.
It's, like I said, it all hinges down to, you got 35% of the people that were willing to respond weren't interested in doing it. That's not even like, say, the other 200 that are living around the lake. So now you're looking at 230 plus people or more.
Yeah,
So the question, like, is it an interest of the council to send specific letters out and asking specific questions to all the residents?
Well, I think until it's proven to us that
Mhm.
it is an issue, and this, you know what I mean?
and so we're waiting on more information, and I
Yeah.
think that we've made that clear to the group.
Okay,
Anyway, that's all the trouble I can cause right now.
Okay,
number, who had another item
I did.
on this?
So I've got one 30-year and one 20-year. There are no 15s and there are no 10s. Do we want to do like 27 years, 28 years, or do we want to stick to the milestones? And I don't want to say their names because I don't want them to hear it on Hootie.
I would say
I would say just
I
stick
got
to
it.
Just the milestones? Okay. Done. There you go, Sandra. Thank you very much. Perfect. I had to do some quick math there.
It's not on the agenda, but the other thing we got to discuss before today is what we're gonna do for the Santa Claus parade.
Oh my gosh, you're correct. Tim, what are we doing? What time do you want us there? You'll let us know?
Yes.
All right. Good enough.
Worst case scenario, we walk, right?
I know I don't mind walking.
No, that's the thing.
Can I dispatch somebody to go get some candy canes though? Because I just realized I'm gonna be away. Anybody gonna be near guess we could get them at Papa Ron's or Fresh. One.
Oh, yeah.
Bring your own candy.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
I have a
BYOC.
bunch of Halloween candy left over. I'll throw that at all the kids. Be perfect.
Media,
I'm good.
very good.
Well, that was easy.
You're good, you're good.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted was that letter and it's in the package, so there you go.
Did you read it?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Okay. Bit of a break before we go into close.
Close, yeah.